Well, good day everyone. Welcome to another edition of Fly Fishing in Nature's Realm. Now, in this episode, I'm going to continue on from last episode. Now, in the last episode, we learnt how to tie the cordial fly, and that fly represented a hatching mud-eye. Now, this fly is the next stage, which is the flying dragonfly. Now, this fly is a very, how could we say, a fly that not many people actually attempt to tie and attempt to fish that stage of the mud-eye or the dragonfly, because of the simple reason it's very hard to catch trout at that stage. Now, we do see a lot of trout feeding on dragonflies as they fly through the air. The trout will leap out the water and will take the actual natural dragonfly. But when that happens, it's still very hard to have a successful fly. The fly that we're going to tie today is to represent the dragonfly when it hits the water surface. And when that happens and you see trout actually take the dragonfly off the surface, we could be in business. But the thing is, to be on the water when this actually happens is very rare. So your opportunities are going to be very slim. But have a few of these this pattern in your fly box and ready for that time when it might happen. Now, this fly was tied and developed by a fly fisherman from Tasmania. Now, friend of David Scholes, and David Scholes mentions him in a lot of his books, and this pattern is actually mentioned in the book Ripples, Runs and Rises, and it's got the story behind it and the tying of it, which is a really good way of actually learning how to tie this fly. Now, the books that David Scholes has written, I've talked about Ripples, Runs and Rises amongst all of David Scholes' books. I've got a episode where I talk about his books, and Ripples, Runs and Rises is a part of that. So developed this fly, and he's got special colours, he's got special construction and the size as well. And these are the key ingredients to having any chance of a dragonfly, adult dragonfly pattern working. So yeah, so let's get into tying this fly. Alright, the materials that we'll need I'll put up right now in front of the screen there, bang, and you can at your leisure pause the video, write down all the materials that you'll need, or get the book, and the recipe for this pattern is in the book as well. So let's get into tying this fly. Okay, now the fly in the recipe is a size 4 hook. Right, now I've got a 4 hook here, but what I'm using is a salmon fly hook. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because we've got an up eye and we've also got a little bit extra length, which I think just enhances the pattern. There's no two ways about that. And the downside is these salmon fly hooks have been constructed with a basically at the 2/3 point, it's the shank is doubled. So we've got a thick section at the front there, and then it's very thin, or the single shank to the back. So we need to fill that up to make it nice and even when we do tie the fly. So what I'll do there is I'll add materials that'll be the full length, so we can fill up that gap there of the hook shank. Black silk thread, we need 6/0, so I've got my 6/0 thread here, and we'll go along as we go, and I'll show you the other material. So let's start to tie this fly. So we start just below the eye of the hook, and let's tie this black thread on. Working our way down to the bend. Stopping around about when we're in line with the barb of the hook. Cut away the excess. And what we do now is we go back to the 2/3 point, because we want to build up this section of the hook shank. And of course we go back down. Alright, now we need to tie in the tail. Okay, now the material we need is olive green cock feathers, and this is a grizzle dyed olive green, so it's got the barring on the actual feathers, and we need to select 2 of those feathers. So we'll get those ones around about there. So 1 there and 1 there. Now what we do is we line these 2 feathers up so that they're against each other. Alright, so we lay it flat against each other, making sure that we've got the right length there, which is perfect there. Bring that around more there. And then we judge the actual length of the tail. Now because this is imitating a dragonfly, we all know an adult dragonfly has a very long body. So we need to make it probably a hook shank, maybe a hook shank and a half in length to get that perfect. So I'd say about that position there. Then we just tear away the fibres so that we've got the stem there, and then we tie that in. And there we go, that's good. Now let's cut away the excess there, and let's give it right up to the 2/3 mark so we can fill that hook shank up. Okay, so let's now trap that in and work our way up to the 2/3 mark. And then go back again. Now we need to tie in the rib. Now to tie in the rib, it's called for the use of floss, okay, and this is a yellowy gold floss colour, and these come in 4 strands. It's a single strand, but it's made up of 4 strands, and so we can undo those 4 strands and take off just the one and snip that off there, and then we tie that in. as so. And the next requirement now for the actual body is peacock herald. Okay, we need probably around about 4 strands of peacock herald to create the body. Make sure they're nice and long, have a good herald on the actual stem of the actual feather there. We only need about 4, so line them up so that they're nice and straight, like so. And we just snip off the bottom there because that's basically waste, and then we tie it in the length 2/3 mark, and then tie that in, and then trap both the ribbing and the peacock herald along the shank there. Alright, now we take the peacock herald, and what we need to do is we need to twist this. So a little bit of saliva on your fingertips. And then wrap the peacock herald around the shank towards our thread. Now you could do this as I'm doing it by hand, or you could do it with a dubbing tool, and using a dubbing tool would definitely give you a longer lasting flight, because if a trout bites that peacock herald, it's gone, guys. It's just a one fish fly. But the trout that take this, take the natural dragonfly, they're big trout, let me tell you. And you'll probably head off home with your prize once you catch a fish on this pattern. No worries about that. Okay, now we're at the stage now where we've tied in the peacock herald body, and now what we have to do is tie in the body hackle. Now alright, take our hackle pliers and let's now build the body hackle. And then take our marabou floss, our single strand, and then we're going to rib the body and weave it in between the body hackle fibres. And trap that in. All right. Now lastly, we now need to tie in the main hackle. Now the recipe for this calls for 3 feathers: red, olive green, barred olive green, then red hackle, and then blue hackle. Okay, and the first 2 feathers, the green is first, then it is red, and then blue, and the first 2 go in concave normal, and then the blue goes concave the other way. All right, so it's the opposite side of the feather, so we just switch the blue over. Now in the book, and what mentions there is that it aids in the aerodynamics of the fly. So yeah, that's what Dick has stated there. So we take our feathers there that I've got already set up, and we go green, red, and then blue, but the opposite way. And then we tie that in at this point right here. Cut the excess. And then tie that down. Alright. So they're in place. Now we take our hackle pliers and we take the first one, which is the barred olive green, and then we tie that on first. going to tie that off. Cut away the excess there, or excess. Now, next step is to now tie the red feather in. And what this creates is a really bushy hackle, one that is just going to float like a cork. And with the body hackle, it's even going to be a better float again. And then tie it off. Cut away the excess. And now the last feather is the blue. Again, get yourself a good pair of hackle pliers that grips nice and hard. That's the key to it, the success with that. Now what I like to do is pull those feathers a bit forward, and then the blue can come to the back. Do that again, come around. Like that. And then weave it through all the other fibres. And then tie it off. Now what we do is we tie a nice black head, making sure that we don't trap too many of the hackle fibres when we do it. And then we whip finish. One, two, three, four. Now where did it go? I'll use the scissors. Tighten it down. Cut away the thread. And now we need to just clean up all the fibres that we did trap around the eye of the hook. Now let's manipulate those fibres forward a little bit. So we'll bring that up. Alright, now one more step. The tail, because it's very long, we need to put a drop of varnish, or in the case of myself I use this UV varnish and put a drop on the tail. Now what that does, that avoids separating and flipping the fly around as we're casting it. We need that tail to be together, and that will achieve that. So we put the UV light onto the tail there, making it super hard, super strong, and then we put a drop of varnish at the head. Can't find it. Just clear the eye there of any of that varnish. And then UV light. And there we are. I have tried this, but like I say, there was only one occasion where I've seen dragonflies actually hit the water surface, and while I've seen heaps of dragonflies being taken in the air, but not when they hit the water, and there was one occasion, but I didn't have success with that. So I really can't say that it is a successful fly. But I mean, you've got to take the word of legends like David Scholes, Barry Lodge, all of these gentlemen, these fly fishermen, Reg Clayton and so forth. Listen guys, read all of David Scholes' books and you're going to learn a lot, I tell you. There's so much information in there. It's all hidden away. It's just fantastic. There's sort of like little secrets within his storytelling, and telling of the fly fishing that they had over in Tasmania. But yeah, you definitely need to tie this up and have some in your box so that you're going to be a chance. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I hope this improves your fly fishing a little bit, and like I say, if you've got any flies you want tied, just give me a mention it in the comment section down below, and I'm only too happy to help you out. Alright, until the next episode, this is Bruce Smith saying goodbye, and see you on the next edition. Bye for now.